welcome to the podcast. I am so glad you're here. Oh my goodness, Jason Laz. He's out of Troy City School District in New York, a smaller district, but he's in his first year and he has done a lot. He's going to share how social media fits into his role and some of the great feedback that he's started to receive from people within his district, parents included. He's going to share a real unique way of getting content from parents, which is kind of a new concept that you've never heard before. So I'm teasing you that. So you're going to want to pay attention. And then he's really going to talk about how he is incorporating a student intern to help him with his content. And his main tip is key of sharing the positive smiles on your face, on your Facebook page and your social media channels. Oh my gosh, it's so much about that. So a lot of great wisdom. Jason's just really excited to be able to celebrate his school. I have gotten to know Jason through our membership program. He is a member of our social media group, and we have almost 400 schools that are part of that. And I know it is the holiday season. I'd really love for you to consider giving yourself the gift of support this year. There is a cost to it, but your school should have PD dollars. And just like, your teachers have, those personal learning groups, those PLCs, this is your PLC for social media. And because social media is always changing, there's new things that are coming on boards. There's new things and old things that do work or don't work anymore. This social media membership group is a spot to be connected to what's working in social media, give you the boost to try new things and to grow your channels, to be able to celebrate your students and staff with even more people. So check it out. Check out the membership group. I've got a link in the show notes. You can also head over to my website, socialschool4edu.com. Love to see you in that group. Just ask. The worst thing somebody can say, your boss, worst they can say is no. But really the best thing that's going to happen is at least they're going to know that you are interested in growing and continuing to do a better job for your school. So that's awesome. All right, now let's jump into today's K-12 PR tip. All right, quick little tip today. Jason's going to actually talk about starting a new account for his athletic department. He actually set up a Twitter account that's dedicated to celebrating their athletics. And what I want to remind you of today is making sure that you have a document somewhere that is saved that has your login, username, and passwords for all of your social media channels. Now, of course, this does not include Facebook because Facebook does not have a username and a password. You assign people to be administrators of your Facebook page. So you don't have a login for that, but you do for Twitter, you do for Instagram, you do have a Google account, right, associated with YouTube. If you have any other accounts, make sure LinkedIn, make sure that you have a username and password up to date, saved in a safe spot where more than just you knows how to access it, somebody else that can be trusted. But we're getting towards the first of the year. Sometimes we just like to make sure that we've got our ducks in a row this time of year. And so that is my request is, where are your passwords? Where are they saved? Do you know where they're at? Does at least one other person know where they're at in case something would happen and, you win the lottery? That's what I always say. If you won the lottery, would somebody know where to find that? Because you wouldn't have time to tell them. You'd be worried about spending all your newfound money. So I'd like that to be our K-12 PR tip of the day. And you're going to get a lot of great tips from today's interview with Jason Laz. So let's get started. Jason Laz is in the house. Welcome to the podcast, Jason.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, Jason is the communication specialist for Troy City School District in New York. He's coming to share a lot of what he's been doing, and he's been doing a great job. So why don't you kind of share your background and your role there with our listeners?
Sure. So Troy is a district. We've got about 3,500 kids or so. We have 5 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and a high school. So we're classified as, I guess, an urban district. Um, but I would tend to think we're more suburban, but that's, it's it's a good mix. We have a very diverse student population in our district, which is great. The interesting thing I think about my background is that my path to school PR actually started more or less in the room that I'm sitting in right now. I'm a graduate of Troy High School. I graduated from the Troy City School District, which I'm super proud of. I was born and raised here. My wife and I now live just one town over from Troy. Um, and I really started getting into video production and video editing when I took Media Production One in this room, this suite of rooms at Troy High. I won't say how many years ago, but it was several years ago. And that really kind of started me on my path to what I'm doing now, very indirectly. I wanted to get into media production. I knew I wanted to do something like that. I ended up getting involved in technical theater in high school. I was a stage manager. I did lighting and sound and all that kind of stuff. Ended up going to school for TV video production, broadcast journalism, spent some time working in local news as a videographer, an editor, master control, news producer, a little bit of everything. And then kind of just fell into my last job, which was my first job in school PR. And I was there for about 7 years. I was at a local BOCES here, serving schools in 3 counties. And I did a lot of the same stuff that I'm doing now: videography, photography, writing, social media, all that kind of stuff. And then the position opened up here at Troy, and it has really just been a match made in heaven, I think, so far. I'm so happy to come back and represent my school, my alma mater in this capacity. And it's been a lot of fun getting to come back, almost like coming back home, and getting, to know the district in ways that I never could have imagined before. And, I think one of the most fun facts is my superintendent who hired me in this position was my high school principal when I was a student here at Tri High. So my principal in high school, who I was obviously never in his office for anything, now is my boss and is the one who brought me back here to Troy. So I'm very excited about that.
That's awesome. I've interviewed a few other people that have had similar situations like that, former teachers that are now their colleagues. So it's kind of cool. So how long have you been back in Troy City School District then?
I've been back almost a year. I
Okay.
started early December of last year. And actually, this Thursday, which coincidentally is my wife's birthday, will mark my 8th anniversary working in school PR. I was appointed to my first job on November 17th. So it's coming up in just a couple of days here in November.
That's awesome. Well, I can tell, just by you talking about how proud of you, the school you are, there's just a special link. And I'm lucky I graduated from the school that I do social media for every day in New Auburn. And there's just a special tie there, that pride and all of that. So
Absolutely.
that's awesome. So you're doing all things communications. Are you a one person shop?
Yeah, yep. It's just me, and I kind of tend to do everything, which as most of us know, it's a blessing and a curse. But I enjoy it because it really kind of helps me be aware of what's going on and really have a hand in a lot of the things that are out there in the public about our school district.
Yeah. So among all of your responsibilities, how does social media kind of fit into your role? What channels are you managing and some of that?
Social media is, obviously a huge part of my job. I think probably a good chunk of time is spent making sure that what we're putting out is showing everyone about all the great things going on here in Troy. Unfortunately, like a lot of school districts, there are some reputation things from the past that just don't really let go. And Troy has come a long way in the past 15, 20, 30 years. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, just aren't always seeing that. So I try to make sure that we're pushing out all the positive stuff, as much positivity as we can, to really, let people know that, hey, these are opportunities that our students have here in Troy. The room that we're in, it's our podcasting room, our broadcast control room. Our esports and our journalism classes use the space to produce content. And I think a lot of people probably wouldn't realize that that's something that goes on here in Troy. So being able to use our social media to really push that narrative, that positive spin of, you know, this is what we're doing in Troy. These are the things that our kids get to experience and get to do here in Troy, that people may not think is an option for kids here in Troy. Um, So social media is huge for that. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. YouTube, I don't do a ton with YouTube at this point. That's a lot of it is really just streaming for sports and things like that. But Facebook and Instagram are definitely our big ones. Twitter for some athletic stuff, but who knows where Twitter is going in the next weeks and months at this point. So it's kind of all up in the air right now.
Right. Yeah. But you're really using it to celebrate the great things happening. And I love that. And if you guys want to check us out on YouTube, we're filming this as well as an audio podcast. You'll see that when I got on today, I'm like, Jason, you are like legit. He's got the podcast mic and the headset and all of that. So and that's why you sound so good today. So what are some of the best stories? Thinking back over this last year that you've been able to share from your school on social media?
I think, I mean, there's, great stories all the time. I think so. It's kind of hard to narrow down what are some of the best stories that we've told. If you're part of the social media group that Andrea runs, you've probably seen the post of me getting tackled by an offensive lineman before our homecoming game. That was probably one of the most fun pieces of content that I've pushed out, because I kind of got to be right there, literally without actually being on camera, which was great. But I mean, all of our homecoming content was huge this year. We won the football game, we crowned the homecoming queen, we took that live. All of the photos, all the content from that was really, really well received by our community. And I think it can be hard because as school social media folks, we know there's not a golden ticket. There's not a formula that's going to lead us to this post is going to do really well. A lot of times when we're in schools at events, we get great pictures and we think, oh, this is going to be great on social media. And then you post it up, you edit your pictures, you post it, and maybe you reach 600 people. And it's like, okay, well, that was really disappointing. I was really excited for this. But then other times you get one photo sent to you by a teacher that you put a one sentence caption out there and it takes off and you get thousands of people that comment on it or share it and like it and see it. And it's crazy. So the way I kind of look at it is the more smiling kids doing fun things that I can put on our social media, the better. Um, One of the first things that I did when I came to Troy last year was we had a couple local barbers come into one of our elementary schools and give kids free haircuts before the holidays. And I shot some video of that. I actually did an Instagram reel before I really knew anything about Instagram reels. And we had some media coverage, but we pushed that out, and that did really, really well for us, which was encouraging for me as I'm just coming into the district. And hey, here's this thing, and we covered it and pushed it out. And it was really positive. Um, Anytime that we're celebrating what our kids are doing, like I said, a few minutes ago, that's really my mantra when it comes to our social media is let's make our kids look as good as we can. Let's celebrate what our kids and our staff is doing. Um, and stuff like that comes up all the time. It's kids that they had a special guest come into the classroom and did a hands-on activity with them that really isn't anything super and spectacular, but it was not just kids going to school and having lunch and going to recess and then coming home.
Right. Yeah.
So I think any of that kind of stuff really has the potential to be one of those great stories. And there's just so many of them. It's really hard to look back over the past year and have a couple that just stick out.
Yeah. Well, the free haircut sounds great. I would love to get that link so we can put it in the show notes. And then yeah, your reel where you got ran over by the football players was really funny. So we'll have to share a link with that as well. But you also got some amazing photographs at your homecoming. And so I got a question for you. This wasn't on the list, but I always come up with questions that you are a one person shop, so it's a big event. It's homecoming. You said you live streamed some of it, but you also got some really good photos. What is your trick or your tip for those listening of how do you get the best of both? Because you'd think if you were live streaming, you wouldn't be able to take photos with a nice camera. What's
Right.
kind of your strategy?
So I guess I have to backtrack a little bit. Technically, I'm a one person shop, but I did just kind of get an unofficial student intern this year.
Okay.
So he's actually one of the students in the journalism class. So I've gotten to know him a little bit throughout the course of the year. Um, And I said to him before, because he's been to, all the football games, and, because I go and shoot most of the football games, and then kids from the journalism class can sign up to cover, whatever sports events are going on. And Justin has always been out of the football games. And I said to him, I said, "You're going to homecoming tonight, right?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "I got a job for you then." I said, "I want you to," and this was good timing because we were in the middle of your Facebook challenge. Um, I said, "I got a job for you." I said, "I want to take the crowning of the homecoming queen live on Facebook tonight." And he's like, "Maybe we should do Instagram." And I'm like, "Yeah, we could probably get more people, but I need a Facebook live for this challenge that I'm doing. So we're going to do it on Facebook." So I said, "I'm just going to, when it comes time," I said, "I'm just going to give you my phone, and it's going to be, the Facebook app is going to be open on the district, and we're going to just go live, and we're going to follow it through, and whatever happens, happens." So that was how I was able to do that. I probably wouldn't have if I didn't have anyone with me to do it, because I think, my photos and things were more important than the live stream. But we had a bunch of comments during it, and when the crowning ended, he handed my phone back to me and he goes, "We got a couple of comments like, 'Oh, I'm so glad this is being live streamed, oh, congratulations.'" And I looked at it, and it was our board of ed president and one of our assistant superintendents. So that was some very, very good positive feedback that I'm glad we did this. It worked out really well. And there was obviously a lot of positivity around that.
I love it. And what kind of feedback, again, I'm putting you on on the spot a little bit, but what kind of feedback have you received? Because we're going to link up all of your pages. You are doing a really good job, Jason. And so
Thank you.
have you gotten some good feedback from the community, from the staff of the storytelling that you're doing via social media?
I really haven't. This is one of those things that's awkward to talk about, right? But
It is,
um,
but we have to toot our own horn because I
and,
mean,
and
but
that's what I'm so grateful for you for, because you're so good at helping us toot our own horns on these things, which is great. Um, I have received a ton of great feedback from all levels of people within the district. My superintendent, our other district administrators, other staff that I interact with frequently, teachers, parents. I'm hearing a lot of, "Hey, your Instagram is looking really, really good. I love what you're putting up on Facebook right now. All your pictures are so great." So that's been really encouraging for me as someone who's kind of in that midpoint almost of their career. I'm coming up on doing this a decade now, and I think, like a lot of us, I still feel like I have almost that imposter syndrome at times, where, like, do I really know what I'm doing, or am I just really good at faking it? Have I just been getting lucky? So to hear that kind of feedback from folks is really important. And on the flip side of that, it's also helped me to be a little bit more open with giving other people that positive feedback on things that they're doing. My student intern is one example. I've made a point of being like, "Hey, your photos are really good. You don't have the equipment that I have, um, but you're doing a really great job. You put in a lot of effort, and it looks really good. For what we're working with." Um, so it's been really encouraging for myself to see that, but it's also kind of helping me step that up and pass that on to other folks, because if it's helping me feel like I'm doing my job better, and makes me feel good about myself, I should be turning that around to make other people feel the same way.
yeah, the ripple effect. I'm getting goosebumps because I love that. So you've mentioned a couple times our membership group, which you're a part of, and we did a Facebook challenge, pushing you out of your comfort zone a little bit. So, has that group been able to help you, kind of try new things and do some new things with your social media strategy for your school?
Absolutely. I think with anything, little steps are kind of the most important here. We're not going to totally flip the script on what we're doing on social media overnight. Um, but seeing what other people around the country are doing, how they're using their social media, what they're covering, how they're covering it, even just things like the Canva template directory. Oh, I never thought to make a Canva graphic for this, but here's a template that I can use and make it my colors and throw my logo in and throw in a picture, and boom, there it is. I might not have taken the time or thought to do something like that. So just having that group has been a huge resource for me, um, in stepping out of that comfort zone a little bit and just getting some new ideas, because in schools, everything is cyclical, right? It's really, really easy to get in that rut of, "Oh, well, we're starting in September, it's back to school, and then it's this, and then it's homecoming, and then we're into the winter, and it's concert season, and all of this that just goes on every single year." It can be really hard to kind of freshen that up and do new things and keep it from being just a loop that is people, if somebody scrolled back the past 3 years on your Facebook page, it's going to be the same things over and over and over again. So I'm really grateful for the group because it's helped me look at some new things. And, that cycle is always going to be there just by the nature of what we do. But being able to kind of step out of that and add these other pieces and other things that um, just tapping into that group mind is huge, I think.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I was just talking to a new member today. She just joined last week and she was already using the Canva directory. So that's awesome. That's one of the benefits. And then just this morning, we had a reel that showed a bunch of apparel items for sale through an Instagram reel instead of just a, hey, we're having another shirt sale.
Yeah.
But you're actually showing different pictures of the items. So, anyways, constant ideas, and because social media is always changing, we're always there for one another. So I love it. If you are looking for a little motivation and some help with your social media, you should definitely join us there. um
And Andrea, I'll say this too. I don't I firmly believe after doing this for, I say so long, it hasn't even been a decade yet, but after doing this for so long, I firmly believe that you can't do this job on an island. Even if as a one person shop, it's really, really difficult, if not impossible, to do this job successfully and really bring your district that positive publicity, the positive branding, the positive outreach into the community, if you don't have people that can support you in it, whether it's people in your district, in your buildings that are helping gather content, helping write things, helping manage the website, or things like your group or your state SPRA or NSPRA or whatever it is. It's really, really difficult to do this job all by yourself. No one can do this on an island. Um, and I'm really grateful that on my island is Andrea's membership group, among many other resources, of course. But
right.
uh, I'm so grateful for the group. And, I don't think you can really be successful doing this on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I started that group, I thought I had to have all the answers. Oh no. We have a community of almost 400 different school districts from across the country. So everybody's kind of participating and giving good ideas. I love it too. Um, so user generated content, I'm switching gears a little bit. It's really powerful. So getting content from your followers. So
Yeah.
you have kind of a unique way of getting content from parents. So can you share that with me?
Sure. So as we're coming back on back to school time, the end of August, we do what everybody else does, and hey, send us your first day pictures. We want to see what the first day of school looks like from your perspective. And I spend more when people send me pictures, through email or whatever. I spend more time going back to them and saying, "Hey, these came through really small. Can you try texting these to me?" And then they send the full size image, and it's fine. Um, so I decided, why not take that approach with our parents as well? So I created a Google Voice number, downloaded the app on my phone, and I put that number out on our social media, a week, a couple of days before school started, and said, "Hey, we want to see your first day pictures. Um, Send us a message here on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. Email them to social media at troycst.org, or text us at whatever the phone number was." The bonus that I think I got lucky on is the first three digits of the number were the same as my desk number, as all of our numbers within the district. I don't know how I managed to do that, but it worked. And oh my gosh, I it took off. I got 200 text messages from parents over the first week of school texting me pictures of their kids. And I could then pull up Google Voice on my computer and I could download all the pictures right from there. I didn't have to try to plug in my phone or, do anything like that or save, because sometimes saving messages from a Facebook message or Instagram can be kind of tricky and not really work the best out there. But using this Google Voice number was huge. So I've kept it active. And when there's something where I need to solicit content from parents, I'm pushing that number back out there. And a couple of weeks after that, I actually got a text from a student with a picture after the soccer game saying, "I think you do social media for Troy. We won, 5-0 or whatever the score was." And I was like, wow, okay, people are paying attention to this. This is working. So it was really, really encouraging to see that, because we've generally had a pretty good response at getting those first day pictures from people. Um, and obviously this is my first day here in Troy, but um, using that Google Voice to get parents to text images, because they're already texting them to everybody anyway. They're texting them to their spouse or their brother, their sister, aunts, uncles, grandma, grandpa, whatever. So it was just another number to text the pictures to. And it worked really, really well. And I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, and a good tip for people to think of. Now, if you can handle it, obviously really, really big districts, maybe it wouldn't work as well.
For the
Um,
record, what I did do, I turned off the notifications because it's the Google Voice app. It's not coming through in all my other text messages. So I just didn't allow notifications for that app, and I went in a couple of times a day and looked at all the unreads, and then deleted them, and then obviously they were marked red. So then when I went back in, if the message was unread, I hadn't saved the image yet, because I didn't need my phone blowing up constantly
right.
with it. Also, that way, if people try to call that number, my phone isn't ringing.
Okay. Good advice. All right. So Twitter, whether, people are still using that or not, some schools have given up on Twitter. Just we haven't seen, I mean, Facebook and Instagram, you kind of mentioned, are the big ones, but you have a dedicated sports Twitter account. So can you kind of share the reasoning behind creating that account and what's made it successful and who runs it?
Yeah, sure. So I had kind of thought on and off from the time I started in Troy, about creating a Twitter just for athletics here, because we have a large number of sports teams. I mean, not a ton. Obviously, some schools have a lot more, but I didn't want our main Twitter feed to be just athletics news. Um, so I figured if we created an athletics Twitter, then we could kind of redirect that traffic, and it wouldn't really be a, hey, all Troy tweets about is sports, because now, well, yeah, it's the Troy Sports Twitter account. Of course, it's all sports. So I was kind of going back and forth with that, and then I had one of our PE teachers who's a coach for, I think she might coach cross country, or one of the middle school teams. She approached me and said, "Hey, I'm working on my master's degree. For one of my projects, I want to create a Troy athletics Twitter account. Our AD already signed off on it. Can you help me get that going?" And I said, "Absolutely. I've been thinking about this anyway. So this is really just, this is the sign that this is what we're going to do." So we got all the approvals we needed. The superintendent signed off on it, all that, and I sat down with her, and I had my cover photo and the profile image ready to go, so I could send that to her, so I could make sure the branding was what we wanted it to be. And then she created the account, and I've kind of really taken that over, and I'm doing most of that work now. But I don't know that we would have actually created that if I hadn't worked with that teacher on doing that. So that was kind of how it got started. But I was shocked, and again, part of it is good timing. The first 2 months that account existed, it outperformed our main district Twitter account by something like 150% or something. Now,
Wow.
granted, we had softball and baseball both make it into the postseason. The softball team made it all the way to the state Final Four. So that certainly helped drive a lot of that content. And I don't remember what the metrics looked like for the fall sports season that just wrapped up here, but it's been really positive. It's not doesn't have a huge following, but the reach is really impressive for the small amount of content that's actually going out on it.
Right.
But it gives us a great outlet to be tweeting out live scores when we can, promoting the upcoming games when our kids get, highlights, whether it's player of the week or, we had a lot of them at the end of last season for softball. So we've just promoted all of that on the athletics Twitter page because that's all it was supposed to be for.
Right. Yeah, that's an advantage of just doing that. You still use your other Twitter account for the district, but just not quite as much as you do Instagram and Facebook. Is
Yeah,
that right?
Facebook and Instagram are definitely our main kind of social media presence. I try to keep up with Twitter, but it's I don't know. It's not the first thing that I'm thinking of because, I think we see a lot less engagement there. So it's using that
Yeah.
data to look back and say, all right, well, we get more out of these other platforms. Let's focus on that rather than continuing to just pour into Twitter to not really see the return there.
Yeah. And that's great advice because you can't do it all.
Yeah,
Even though sometimes you think you can, but there's not 25 hours in a day, Jason.
I wish.
I just have not found that. So you're doing so many things great, but there are still struggles. So what would you say is your biggest struggle when it comes to social media?
I think one of the biggest things, and I know folks will relate to this, is just knowing what's going on around the district.
Mhm.
And, so often it's, hey, we had this happen today. Cool. Could you tell me about it yesterday? Or, hey, this happened. Here's two pictures where you look at the back of kids' heads and they're all super small. can I see your kids enjoying what they're doing instead of all of their wonderful backs of haircuts? So I think that's the biggest struggle for me generally is just staying in the loop and knowing, hey, these things are happening before they happen. Because I love, like most of us, I love to get out in our schools. I love to see what's going on. I love to see what our kids are doing, and I want to cover that because I want to spread that positivity about Troy. And just knowing what's happening in advance, and if I don't know in advance, getting quality content from people, it is one of the biggest pain points. And
Okay.
I get it. Teachers aren't photographers. That's not their first thought is, oh, let me get good pictures so we can put it on Instagram. Nor should it be, right? They're responsible for their kids and what's going on in their classroom. But I'd like to think I'm making some progress in making this kind of a culture of sharing of, hey, tell me what's going on. I want to highlight your kids. I want to get this out there. Um, and we're seeing some growth. I think there's been some positive change there, which is encouraging. Um,
Yeah.
I just always want more, and that's what I tell people. I'd rather know too much and have too many pictures and have to pick some things not to post, than not have enough and be scrounging for content every week.
Right. And you're about a year into your position. I once talked to a gentleman that was like 5 weeks into his position, and he was feeling frustrated and trying to, and I'm just like, hold the phone. Like, it's going to take, months and years to develop the relationships to get the content that you want. But here's some tips to get started.
Yeah.
And so I think the listeners will definitely be able to relate to you. So with that struggle, what would you say is the best social media tip for the listeners?
Um, Best social media tip. That's so hard to just kind of pick
Pick
something because
one.
I feel like we're kind of just flying by the seat of our pants here. Like, oh, this will work. Oh, let's try this. Who knows? Kind of throw stuff at the wall and hope it sticks. It sounds cheesy and it sounds kind of chintzy, but the more smiles you can put out there, the better. It doesn't have to be some big earth-shattering, final culminating project. But if you can take pictures of high school science kids smiling while they're building a roller coaster, take a couple of pictures and put them out there, and they're going to take off. Anything with kindergartners doing stuff, getting their hands dirty, having fun, the more smiles that you can put on your social media, the better off you're going to be. Because, not to, go down the rabbit hole of branding, but people come look at your social media to see what's going on in your school. And if they can look through and see, these kids are really happy. Look at all the stuff that they're doing. Oh, look at these cute kids smiling doing this. Wow, even the high schoolers are happy. You know, that says so much about your district, to people who may not know anything else. That may be all they know of their district all they know of your district before they send their kids there, or start that process. But the more smiles, the more positive stuff. Um, Let your social media be an example of what your district is. Show me who your kids are. Show me what they do. Show me what it's like, um, because that may be the only exposure that people get before they vote on your budget.
Right. Yeah, or choose to send their kids there or
Yeah.
whatever. So, awesome. Well, Jason, our time has went really fast. What's the best way to stay connected to you?
Probably email or Twitter.
Okay.
I mean, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, but my email address, it's lazj at troycsd.org. And my Twitter handle is at Jason Laz, JASONLAZ. Um, and those are probably the easiest way to get in touch. And then if we need to get on the phone, call, text, whatever, then we can set that up. But
Right.
email and Twitter is probably the best place to start.
And you'll even give out your real phone number for that.
I will. I
Not
will
the
share my real phone number, not my fake Google Voice number that doesn't have notifications turned on, for sure.
Well, we're gonna link your email and your Twitter account, personal, in the show notes, along with the links to your school district's account, so they can take a look. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to see the stories that you get to share in this next year in this job. I'm a big fan, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, everybody, will see you back next week with another fabulous guest. Until then, keep telling those stories, probably showcasing some of those winter music programs and all of that stuff out on social media. Don't be afraid to share those. And even if it's not the best picture, people do want to see that those activities going on. So we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.